I'm going to use this car as a symbolism for this video here. I think social media is now the new way of becoming ambitious. It's the symbolism for ambition. And I say that because currently I'm in a situation where, which I guess this will always happen, which I'm sure it will, because if you're a car person, you understand this, or even a tech guy. I mean, it's basically the same freaking thing. It's just one's more expensive than the other. So, anyways, this is a beautiful car. It's nice. I mean, the purist in me, which really is developing still, the car is amazing. Like, there's nothing wrong with this car. I mean, it's beautiful, it performs amazing, it sounds amazing. The reason why I'm saying for the ambition is because when you go through social media and you see BMWs, you see all these huge, like $100,000 cars and people upgrading them left and right. And like, obviously, yeah, it's super nice to have the best of the best and not have like an older car and have more power, have better sounding engines and more reliable engines, especially if you're somebody who tunes them. But because I have this car, and again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's pretty much a dream. It's just the only thing that it lacks is the ability to be reliable with power. Can't necessarily say it's unavoidable. Like, you definitely can have this thing push some power and it still be okay to daily use. But is it giving me the ambition to be ambitious, to venture out and create new opportunity for myself to then get that next car that is really, really nice? Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that people need to understand is that when people have these cars, I think the biggest thing for us is to understand that when somebody else in the car community has something that you like more about that than what you personally have, then you're like, dang, how do I get to that point? And I think realistically, like, that is unfortunately how I've looked at life. Is like, okay, I see somebody that has a really nice car or a really nice pair of shoes or a nice house, a nicer house, a nicer quality of living. And you're like, how do I get that? What are the steps that I need to do to get to that point? And I think as a 24-year-old, it's hard to understand. It's hard to comprehend. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm pretty sure I have. Wow. I think I have. Your 20s are basically your beginning years of adulthood. It's not 18. It's literally from 20 to 29 is when you're just a kid in the big adult world. And that's why everyone says do everything at your 20s, because then you learn, then you get to adjust, then you get to find out the failure points and start to prevent them and figure out ways to prevent the catastrophic situations. Now, when you're 30, I mean, obviously this still happens when you're 30 and 40, but you learn from it. So it's like to create an ambition for yourself to then better off your life is just I think the best way to live life. I know it's unfortunate to say that, like, it's makes life stressful, but if you think about it, what's the point of not having ambition? Social media has depicted this more and more throughout years. It's just that, you know, when you're in your early 20s, you see, again, all these nice people have these nice things. You're wondering, like, how do you get them? And the majority of them aren't actually real. It's more so fake. But you think to yourself, how do you get there? Maybe you grew up in the poor class. Maybe you grew up in the middle class. Maybe you grew up in the rich class and it's super easy for you. Maybe you grew up in the ultra wealthy and life will never be difficult for you. It is what it is. But I think I sincerely am thankful that social media exists, because it gives people the opportunity to see what's out there rather than just being closed doors and just kind of grinding to see what you can get. However, I think the negative side of that is that when you are in your early 20s, and if social media didn't exist and you kind of were just pushing for whatever, it would just be kind of like a sight on see thing, where it's like, oh, if you saw a nicer house, nicer car or something, and you wanted that, well, guess what? That was the only time you saw it, so now you want to pursue everything to get to that point, versus social media is pretty much giving you every nook and cranny of what the world can give you. It's just, how do you get there? I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I will always pursue social media just because I think it's fun. I think it's a way to create the creativity. It's a way to activate your brain in a way to think outside the box, so that way you're not just the same old person. It's the whole reason why I love to be different. I think being normal and being the same person as to everybody else is extremely boring, and your life will just be like what's the point? You know, everyone has their own individual goals, but like, if you see in fashion and stuff, right, every single person is basically the same. Right? Like, everyone wants to follow a social media trend or like a fashion trend. Well, there you go. It's just like, to be ambitious, to go be different, I think is the key to life. That's just me. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. I'll see you soon.